I used to believe that studying harder meant just spending more hours buried in textbooks, cramming until my brain felt like it would explode. For years, I thought that my memory was naturally limited, that I simply wasn't smart enough to retain vast amounts of information quickly. I used to stress out right before exams, wondering why no matter how much I studied, the details slipped through my fingers like sand. But the truth is, there's a secret learning technique universities don't want you to know, one that can completely change the way you absorb, retain, and recall information. If you want to learn faster, remember more, and stress less, stick with me because this one discovery transformed my entire approach to education. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter, and it's a little counterintuitive at first. Here's the thing, when I first heard about spaced repetition, I thought it sounded like some fancy buzzword that only people into psychology or memory sports used. I assumed it was complicated or required special software and hours of setup. I mean, why hadn't my professors ever mentioned this if it was so powerful? At first, I resisted trying it because it felt like another thing to learn on top of everything else. But everything changed when I finally gave it a shot during my toughest semester, one where I had 5 major exams and more reading assignments than I knew what to do with. Spaced repetition is basically a learning technique that spaces out your reviews of information at increasing intervals to boost long-term retention. Instead of cramming everything in one go, you review material multiple times over days or weeks, which trains your brain to hold onto what matters most. It sounds simple, but the real secret is in how your brain fights forgetting. Studies show that when you look at material right before you're about to forget it, it strengthens the memory far more than when you review it randomly or too soon. Imagine trying to push a ball up a hill. You give it a small push just as it's about to roll back down, and over time, you build this path that keeps the ball near the top. That's your memory. I started applying spaced repetition using just simple flashcards I made on my phone and paper notes, reviewing them after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then 2 weeks. At first, I noticed weird, surprising things. Like I would almost forget a fact only to remember it instantly when I looked at the card. It was like my brain was waking up and saying, "Hey, gotta pay attention here." The crazy part is, I spent way less total time reviewing than when I used to cram, and yet my recall was way stronger. I actually felt confident during exams instead of panicked. More importantly, I noticed that the stress started to fade because I had a clear system that worked instead of this exhausting guessing game. But here's the struggle that almost made me quit early on. Sticking to the schedule, it felt tedious at times. Sometimes I wanted to skip a review or binge study instead. I get it, you might be thinking spaced repetition sounds boring or like extra work. At first I resisted too, because it disrupted my usual habits. But the moment that changed everything was realizing this is a skill to practice. Just like physical exercise, the better you get at timing your reviews, the more effortless it becomes, and the results compound like crazy. It's like watering a plant consistently rather than drowning it once and hoping it survives. Your brain responds to pacing, not pressure. So here's how you can start today without any fancy tools. Grab a handful of concepts or facts you need to learn, maybe from a class, a book, or even a work project. Write them down on index cards or use a basic note app. Review them once today, then set reminders to review them again tomorrow, then 3 days from now, then a week later. Don't worry about getting everything right the first time. If you don't know an answer, that's actually good. It's the perfect moment to focus. The key is repetition at the right intervals before you forget completely. You can track this in a simple calendar or set alarms on your phone. The challenge is consistency, not perfection. When I started doing this regularly, my ability to recall information improved drastically. I went from fumbling through presentations and exams to feeling prepared and calm, no matter how much material I had to cover. And the best part, the learning stuck with me longer. Concepts I reviewed with spaced repetition during college still come to mind vividly months later, when other classmates forget what they crammed last minute. It's not magic, it's science backing the way we remember. Universities might not emphasize this technique because it shifts how they expect you to study, but it's accessible to anyone willing to try. More importantly, spaced repetition gave me a new respect for my own brain and how I learn. Instead of beating myself up for forgetting, I started working with my natural memory cycles. It changed the game from, I have to memorize everything perfectly now, to I'm building durable knowledge over time. If you're tired of feeling overwhelmed, overworked, and underprepared, this might be the missing piece you never heard about. Try this for just 2 weeks. Pick a topic, create simple flashcards, and schedule your reviews. You'll be surprised how much easier learning feels. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the one subject or skill you've struggled to master that could benefit from spaced repetition? Drop it in the comments, and let's talk about how to tackle it together. If this video helped you, hit like and subscribe, because I'll share more strategies that changed how I learn and grow every week.